Welcome to Oslo. The final day on the tracks in Holmenkollen is here. The curtain falls on a mesmerising, breathtaking and challenging season. 2025 is delivered on so many levels, whilst also reminding everyone that there is more to life than sport. We end today with the mass starts. There's a quick look at the course for today. 5 laps of 2.5 kilometres. 4 shooting stages and a trip to the penalty loop for every miss. Well, the clouds hanging over the Norwegian capital today, so the action comes thick and fast. We start with the women, and then it will be the men who follow just shortly after the presentations are given out for the globes to our women who are victorious today, and of course over the course of the season. Well, Scott Dixon, the season has flown by and there is still one globe left up for grabs.
It's going to be a really tough battle, and we know that Julia Simon is in incredible form, with Hannah Öberg, of course, having that fantastic sprint finish against the French women just yesterday. And although Hannah Öberg isn't in contention for the Crystal Globe, I do think that Simon really has her work cut out, with Jean Monod very close, 5 points behind.
Well, there's a look at the start list. Lou Jean Monod, of course, the yellow bib, total score winner, the 5th time a French woman has won that accolade. Malin Chirkaida wears bib number 9 today, winner of the blue bib and the under-23 Crystal Globe. So let's take a look at the permutations for today. After the mass start globe went back to Germany with Franziska Preuss last season, 4 French women are in contention to take it this time round. Julia Simon holds all the cards and is the front runner to add a second mass start Crystal Globe to her collection. If she finishes in the top 6 today, then the globe is hers. Lou Jean Monod can win today and take a clean sweep of the globes if she wins and Simon finishes outside of the top 6. Oceane Michelon also in contention. She can win it if she wins and Julia Simon finishes lower than 9th. And then Camille Benet is in with the faintest of hopes as well. She needs a win today and hope Michelon finishes no higher than 3rd, while the other 2 have to finish off the podium in that circumstance as well. But it is all, in terms of the battle, up to the French women, with Julia Simon holding all the cards, and it will be a 4th time in 5 years that this globe has gone to a French woman. Lou Jean Monod hoping that it goes her way, and that would be the Grand Slam of Crystal Globes. And she would be the first woman to do so since Tora Berger in the 2012-2013 season. A big smile on the face of Hannah Öberg, who lines up next to her younger sister Elvira. Well, I think it'll be a season that they reflect on with positive thoughts, Scott, but of course they would have hoped for more at the Olympic Games, which is where this woman Julia Simon shone.
Yeah, it does seem a little strange that the Öberg sisters both had great results prior to the Olympics and fantastic form after, but unlike Lisa Vitozzi, we're not able to find the magic there at the Games.
What a season it's been for Suvi Minkkinen. Disappointment yesterday in the pursuit. She finished second overall in the battle for that globe, and what a start to the season it was for Anna Magnusson, who will hope to build on that next season. Well, one of my moments of the season, Oceane Michelon, the mass start Olympic champion. She really stepped up at the Olympic Games, and wow, did she shine. Malin Cierkaida has provided some of the individual moments of the season with her finishing speed. Will she have to use it today? We know what she can do if it comes down to a sprint finish. So look down the order ahead of this final women's race of the season, and what a season it's been. The countdown is on. Lou Jean-Monod is poised and ready to go. It was heartbreak here this time last season for Lou Jean-Monod. This time round, she has secured the total score title, the individual globe, the sprint globe and the pursuit globe. Can she push Julia Simon all the way in this last dance on the World Cup this season? Well, a bumper crowd today in Oslo, and you'd expect nothing less. Tricky conditions, it has been all week. We've seen changes to timetables, changes to the start orders, but the organisers and the IBU adapting to the conditions to ensure that we have a brilliant final day of racing, and it is the two Swedes, Hanna Öberg and Elvira Öberg, who are quickly to the front, with Julia Simon wearing that red bib, indicating her as the mass start leader, tucking in behind with Lou Jean-Monod in fourth.
Well, I think some outsiders may have a chance and possibly a look in. We might even be in with a chance of another German podium, perhaps the second of the season, which is almost shocking to say. But Voigt having such a fantastic race in the pursuit. She marks the second quickest time of the day, in ahead of Hanna Öberg, just in terms of the isolated course time and pursuit time, I should say. But in behind Julia Simon.
Well, what a picture that is. Always mesmerising to watch the early stages of a mass start, and particularly here in Oslo, such spectacular scenery. The sun hiding today, it's been causing plenty of problems all week. Climbing up into fourth is Justine Brassard-Boucher, the mass start world champion in 2024. And of course, the 2022 Olympic mass start champion. She has 5 wins in this event, including here in 2022. And well, Scott, she'll be looking to end what overall has been a disappointing season on a high.
Well, absolutely, and many of the athletes in this field now today are in with an opportunity of doing something special, and they have the kind pace set at the front by Elvira Öberg, with Cierkaida then just moving by, hoping to get past a little bit further forward. But this really is a nice and slow first lap, at least at this point in the race. Cantervold almost getting tangled there. And that is one of the risks of being further back, as we can see Heidenberg there not making any effort to get by the crowd.
Well, Anna-Caroline Heidenberg, the late call-up into this race. Caroline Knotten not taking to the tracks today. And Heidenberg, the first cab off the rank in terms of the reserve list. As they come up to just inside a kilometre, 900 metres, a steady pace being set by bib number 3, Elvira Öberg. Third in the sprint, third in the pursuit this week, but has never won here in Oslo.
Brassard-Boucher just making her way up towards the front, and we talked about some of our favorite moments throughout the season. One of mine was Justine Brezat-Boucher's individual win in Nova Mesto, which was such a fantastic performance from her.
We've seen those glimmers, haven't we, from Justine Brezat-Boucher over the course of the last season, the last year. If you look back to World Championships where she performed really strongly in Lenzerheide, we just haven't seen that from her this season. Bitterly disappointed with the Olympic Games and her results there.
You can see the athletes getting stretched out here. That didn't appear to be on account of the leading group making an attack of any kind, more just the fact that the downhill section is a little bit complex with the snow conditions not perfect, the air temperature high enough that the surface of the snow is becoming melted, and now a little bit of a space opened up back to Shervatova of Czechia. And another one of the outsiders today, Johansson of Norway. I think she can do very well.
Well, she's come so close to her first flowering ceremonies this season. Martha Klokstad Johansson, the 27-year-old, 2 7th-place finishes, her best finishes on the World Cup, including the mass start in Kontiolahti, as we come through the 1.7 kilometre mark, all spread out over this wider part of the track, and it's Julia Simon who goes through the time check first.
Justine Brezat-Boucher, quite unsurprisingly, getting to the front, fed up of the slow speed, and it's no surprise there. She is often, if not consistently, one of the fastest skiers in the race, and she does not like the fact that she isn't utilizing one of her key abilities, and that is her superiority on the skis over most of the field.
Well, we saw a brilliant glimpse there of Lisa Hauser of Austria, her 387th and final World Cup start to date. Secured 13 solo podiums, 6 victories, and 11 podiums in the single mixed relay over the course of her career, where she formed that particularly formidable partnership with Simon Eder, who is hanging up his rifle at the end of the season as well. So the train of athletes coming around and into the range for the first of 4 visits, sticking so close to the barrier to find the best quality snow in what has been a course that's taken plenty of battering from the sun and of course from the skis this week.
This is crazy now. We are entering the shooting range for the athletes. And now they will have the target.
So Lou Romano with the second best prone shooting hit rate, just behind her compatriot Camille Benet. As they all drop down side by side. Simon first to the first shot and then the second. Quick start for Tannheimer as well. Brezat-Boucher has a miss. Michelon going well, but Simon is away already. Such quick and accurate shooting from Julia Simon, who is determined to go home with this globe. Michelon's 5 out of 5. Oberg as well, both of them have gone clean. Suvi Minkinen really taking her time to get started. She'll be once around the penalty loop. It's 2 laps for Justine Brezat-Boucher, 2 for Heidenberg. Tannheimer has to go twice as well. Magnussen's 5 out of 5. And look at that for Julia Simon, who has Hannah Oberg with her in tow.
Well, that really is just an example of how brilliant those 2 athletes are, once again making it to the front and having what seems to be a head-to-head battle. Perhaps Julia Simon will be out for revenge after being beaten on the final stretch by the Swede.
Tutsi making her way out of the penalty loop. She'll break the barrier at shooting 1. 34.2 seconds behind owing to that one miss. She's got Vanessa Voigt in behind her.
Hannah Oberg and Simon on such incredible form in the shooting range. Both of them consistently getting all the targets down on 2 visits, sub 46 seconds in the sprint competition, and 4 visits, getting it down in 1 minute and 33 seconds, all 4 visits.
So Julia Simon and Hannah Oberg are away. Exceptional shooting from them both. And then it's Holmenkollen, the Olympic champion in this discipline, who has her teammate and the total score winner, Lou Jean-Monod, tucked in behind. 15 coming out of shooting one with a clean record so far.
It's a shame for Tannheimer of Germany, who had the very fastest ski speed in the pursuit. She finds herself down in 27th, having missed 2 targets.
You can see Ivana Tannheimer making her way around the bend. She's just a little bit off the pace, but this may be clever from Tannheimer. She didn't want to make too many moves early on, starting with bib number 22, and it was such a crowded early part of the course. She couldn't find her way through, but she's done enough work in the range with clean shooting to get herself up to 11th and just inside 20 seconds behind the time of our 2 leaders who we see here, Scott.
Sensible strategy from the Norwegian. Tannheimer, like we've said so many times, one of the biathlon fan community's favorite athletes. She is fantastic, and when she's on form, she really puts on a great show, and she seems to have found something special just in the last couple of days. And hopefully, if the stand shooting can be consistent today, we could see a Tannheimer podium.
Well, have Holmenkollen and the chase pack been able to close the gap? It was 7 seconds between Simon and Holmenkollen coming out of the range, and it is a gap that has grown to now 8.2 seconds as Holmenkollen drags this train of, well, now 12 athletes through this point, with Martha Klokstad Johansson just slightly off the pace. You can see her here trying to connect with the group, and then a trio behind, Vanessa Voigt, Margie Fried and Lisa Vitozzi.
Julia Simon is skiing very quickly, and we can measure that just by seeing those who really are in top form right now all losing 1 or 2 seconds till this point in the course. And I think that is part of Simon's strategy now. It is make everybody else work hard while she knows herself to be in very good form. The 8th fastest skier in the pursuit.
Well, she's been formidable, Julia Simon, since coming back from the Olympic Games, where she returned as individual Olympic champion and took a silver medal in the mass start as well. Good to see Lena Haki-Gross up with this leading pack.
Well, Simon in stand shooting gets them down in 21 or 20 seconds. That was the shoot 3 and shoot 4 time for the French women yesterday, and perfect synchronization with Hannah Öberg. The duo seemed unperturbed by each other's shooting.
And once again, it's this duo who are leading the way in the mass start. Jean-Monod, 8.8 seconds. This packer in the 9-10 second bracket behind the time being set by Simon and Öberg. Dropping forward further back, and still hasn't been able to make any inroads into the gap that she's trying to close with the chase pack. Of course, it will all twist and turn once we get into the range once again for the second visit. Hannah Öberg launching an attack behind.
She said in one of the interviews that she wanted to have a psychological advantage over Simon, getting in ahead of her, coming into the range. And she's deciding at this point in the race she doesn't need to deploy that, but she does appear to have faster skis. Once again, closing in on the French women, and she isn't even directly in behind her.
So Vera, who's made her way off the front of the chase pack and has cut the time coming in to just 5.2 seconds.
Simon was the fastest with 22 seconds. on the first visit. Hannah Öberg, 23.3 seconds. So quick to the first shot for Simon. Hannah Öberg, a fractional delay, but following along as Simon goes 5 out of 5, and Hannah manages to get the 5th as well. The two will be out close together.
It's great from Lena Haki-Gross, whose last podium came here this time last year, and is climbing up the order. But Julia Simon is away.
Jean Monod with 2 misses.
And so it's in the hands of Julia Simon. It always was coming into today. She had all the cards. And look at that for Lena Haki-Gross, up into 3rd. She has Elvira Öberg on her shoulder. It's a good climb from Hettich Volts up to 5th after starting bib number 17. And Ocean Michelon in behind her, and then a gap back to Vornikova of Czechia with Tandrevol. Perfect shooting so far, 10 out of 10 from the first 2 prone visits. Koska Bialkova, her final race on the World Cup circuit today. She has 1 miss and is in 11th in behind Kokstad Johansson.
Minkkinen managing to get all 5 down after a pretty unfortunate start for the Finn on the first visit to the range, finding herself down in 22nd, only having missed 1 target, but really a little bit off the form now on this final World Cup.
Julia Simon is in the most exceptional form, hasn't found herself outside of the top 10 since the mass start of the Olympic Games. She took the silver medal there. The sprint didn't go her way after securing gold in the individual. She opted not to compete in the pursuit at the Olympic Games, and it served her well, taking, of course, the relay gold medal before the mass start silver. And then since then, mass start winner in Kontiolahti, sprint winner in Ottopat, and just off the podium in the sprint here in Oslo. Before coming back to take the silver in. It was a spectacular battle to the line between these two. Hannah Öberg back on the shoulder, and Julia Simon once again, and Elvira Öberg trying to close the gap.
One of the fastest skiers now on the chase. We have Gesblom wearing bib 24 just off the left of the screen right now, setting the fastest time on the 2nd lap, just in ahead of Tandrevold of Norway, who was 0.8 seconds behind the Swede on lap 2.
I'm sure after yesterday, of course, we still have 2 shooting stages to go. Julia Simon would love the opportunity to battle down the finishing straight with Hannah Öberg once again. She comes through 5.9 kilometers, 3.2 seconds ahead of Elvira Öberg in 3rd, and this leading trio, or leading duo for the first time in this race, become a trio. And it's Lena Haki-Gross who's 9.4 seconds down and dragging Hettich Volts, Michelon and Tandrevold in there as well. Vornikova, and you're right to highlight the work that Lynn Gesblom's done. 10 out of 10 in the range and up to 9th.
Yeah, and you can see the difference being made on the range just by the fact that Simon, Hannah Öberg, Elvira Öberg are shooting so quickly. Simon with the fastest on the shoot 1, the 3rd fastest on shoot 2, a cumulative time of 45 seconds. That is rapid. Gaining some 10 to 15 seconds just on the frequency of shooting alone.
With a perfect record in the range so far. And for the first time, Julia Simon just allowing the Öberg sisters to glide ahead of her.
Oh, such a good strategy, and I think that Julia Simon has complete command of her process right now. She's allowing the Swedes to catch up, to get by, and she knows that she can gain those seconds on the shooting range with a good process. One of the most reliable shooters here in this field.
Excellent work from Lena Häcki-Gross and the pack behind her as well to cut the gap now to 5.7 seconds behind Elvira Öberg, Hannah Öberg and Julia Simon as they make their way up this climb. It's Tanja Wold who's swung out wide and opting to use the snow on the opposite side to that train of 4.
And she really is powering up this hill now. Tanja Wold is being decisive, and she can see the lead, trying to reconnect. Again, all of that time is simply lost in the range process. The time it takes to shoot off 5, load the rifle, get the rifle on the back, up and out. That is the difference that Julia Simon puts in a sprint that seems invisible, that we can only really see when they're side to side battling it out.
And of course, over 4 shooting stages, Scott, that's when it adds up.
It really does accumulate.
So it is Hannah Öberg leading as we come into the range around that corner, which, well, was the heartbreaking corner last year for Lou Jean Monod, who is well off the pace in this race, down in 16. And it's all in the hands of Julia Simon for the small crystal globe in this discipline, the only crystal globe that is still up for grabs. The difference that Julia Simon has in terms of the standing hit rate as well, and we know how quick she can get those targets down.
Now the second to last visit to the shooting range, the first of the stand shoots, and you can see the win flags are fluttering. Hannah Öberg with a rapid first shot, but once again in perfect sync with Simon, who misses.
Yep, a miss for Julia Simon, and Hannah Öberg is away. 2 misses for Simon, who will be twice around the penalty loop. Häcki-Gross is going that way as well with 2 misses. Tanja Wold has a miss. Elvira Öberg is perfect. Bornikova is perfect. Hettage Waltz is climbing incredibly well. Gesblum a disaster. 3 misses in the penultimate visit to the range, and Hannah Öberg is away, pursued by her sister Elvira with just 2.6 seconds in it, and up into third, Janina Hettage Waltz.
Well, what an attack from the German. Could this be the second German podium of the season on the World Cup?
5 out of 5 for Vitozzi. Johansson with 5 out of 5 as well. Batowska Fialkova perfect in that most recent visit to the range. Tanja Wold just 1 miss, and she now has work to do. She's in 5th. Vitozzi rounding out the flower ceremony as things stand.
Well, she has Vitozzi to encourage her to continue that rapid ski speed, as we saw Lou Jean Monod, Sherkaida both getting all the targets down in the shooting range on this visit, with Minkkinen now on the mat, going 4 out of 4. Can she get the last? Minkkinen now goes clear on her first stand visit.
So Julia Simon in 9th. Michelon and Jean Monod, crucially though, still behind Julia Simon.
Well, if Simon is to get 9th position when all is said and done, she is relying on Jean Monod not winning if she wants to keep the Crystal Globe. That's the only circumstance that works in the favour of Simon if she finishes as low as she is now. But that said, Jean Monod is still behind Julia Simon at this moment. Both having missed 2. The athletes get a fantastic chance to take a look at those gaps, not just to themselves, but those going under the bridge can see how far they have to go to cling on to Hettig Waltz and, of course, to Vobornikova, none of whom have missed a single target today, 15 out of 15.
comeback story this would be for Janina Hedich-Volz. The signs have been there all season. She's failed to push out of that 4th place that she secured in Ottopa and into the podium places. Today could be the day. On the podium since the 23-24 season, of course. Before then, or after then, she went on to her maternity leave. Nothing separating Hannah Öberg and Elvira Öberg. There's the gap appears to have just closed slightly. 1.1 seconds. Hedich-Volz and Bornikova, Czechia, have been able to close the gap. It's still there and lurking. And still Scott, one of the fastest on the World Cup circuit, despite the challenges she's been facing in the range recently. Ingrid Landmark-Tandervold in 5th.
On the 3rd lap, Tandervold with the fastest time, as you said. Gesblum 2.1 seconds behind her. So outskiing the next fastest person by over 2 seconds. Quite unbelievable now. Tandervold finding the form of her life on the skis. As good as she has ever been, and only having missed 1 in stands so far today, that is certainly giving good vibes for the last visit.
Julia Simon able to put a gap between her, Michelon, and Jean Monod. As Haki Gloss is urged forward by the Swiss coaching staff.
Johansson still has gone clear. She's in 9th place, 47.8 seconds down, so she really is losing time in terms of the skiing and range time. Of course, it's one of those unnoticed elements, just how much time the likes of Hannah Öberg gain over her competitors in the shooting range.
Yeah, Johansson, the only clean shooter outside of the top 4. She's down in 9th.
And it really will become psychological. Of course, Hannah Öberg and Elvira Öberg would be very happy for each other should they win, but nevertheless, it could go any way. And look at Tandervold attacking now. She is in such great form. You can see that with her body language, the way she drops her body weight down through the left pole, right side of our screen, fully utilizing the core to drive herself up this hill.
And look at the 2 she's being pursued by. Lisa Vitozzi, the Olympic champion in the pursuit. And the Olympic champion in the individual. And the leader in the mass start competition in Julia Simon. But out front, with a perfect record so far, Hannah Öberg and Elvira Öberg. And since on the 2nd lap, Julia Simon conceded the lead and let Hannah Öberg go past. There's been no one getting past the elder of the Öberg sisters.
And now as they're coming in for the last time, we saw Hannah Öberg have a little bit of a wobble on the final shooting visit against Julia Simon, but now finds herself battling it out against her sister.
Well, what a picture this is. Elvira Öberg and Hannah Öberg coming into the range together. Side by side, the 2 sisters, one final shooting stage and one last lap of World Cup racing to go.
Strong winds.
Öberg quick to the first once again. And one miss for Hannah Öberg. Elvira with a miss as well. Can she limit it to just the 1? She can't!
Oh!
And the win will go the way of Hannah Öberg. Bornikova trying to push up into 2nd now. Hedich-Volz has 2 misses. Tandervold can see the podium open up for the Norwegian. If she can get these last 2 down, it's a miss for Tandervold as well. Simon's there, she has a miss. Vitozzi is the door opening up for her.
Vitozzi goes clear, 5 out of 5. Wonderful, the first to have done it on the final visit.
Now Hannah Öberg is away. Now who will emerge in what order? Out of the range and out of the penalty loop. We have a thrilling final lap on our hands for the podium positions. Lisa Vitozzi trails by 8.6 seconds as she leaves the shooting range. And who comes out behind her? Is Boborníková of Czechia. Just one miss, 19 out of 20. An excellent race so far for the Czech athletes, but the chase will be on. But because behind her, Ingrid Landmark-Tandrevold is lurking, 2 misses, and her and Bitovska Fialkova in her final race on the World Cup is there. Well, still in the battle for the Crystal Globe, it is Julia Simon who is the champion-elect. What a thrilling final shooting stage that was. Twists and turns everywhere you look, apart from position number 1.
Hanna Öberg doing the exact same thing on the range on the final visit that she did yesterday, just having a hiccup on the final shot. And with great consequence, she's lucky that it was only one from further back. Of course, that one being Lisa Vitozzi, one of the most formidable chasers, as we know from her notoriety in the pursuit competitions. But she was lucky that none of the others went clear.
Lisa Vitozzi, though, does not have a win in this discipline. She is chasing Hanna Öberg, and like you say, Scott, she knows how to win pursuits. She did so to make history for Italy at the Olympic Games. And she has her eyes burning into the back of Hanna Öberg, but will she run out of time? Will she run out of road?
Well, on laps 1, 2 and 3, Lisa Vitozzi was losing some 7 seconds on average to Hanna Öberg or thereabouts, but on lap 4, Lisa Vitozzi, that was the lap before this, Vitozzi skied faster than Hanna Öberg and now appears to be catching. And therefore, if I was Hanna Öberg, I would be very worried that there's another sprint finish to be had today.
Well, of course, Hanna Öberg, the winner in the sprint and the pursuit. She's never done the treble on a World Cup weekend. And she has the formidable force of Lisa Vitozzi lurking behind her. And it is now just 1.5 seconds that separates the two.
Well, going by the body language there, Hanna Öberg looks to be tiring, and Lisa Vitozzi has the momentum. She's paced it incredibly well and has just slowly climbed up the order. So now Vitozzi has a chance to rest in behind Öberg on the downhill section and recuperate before the final attacks.
And Boborníková of Czechia finds herself in a familiar position after the mass start at the Olympic Games in Antholz. She is chased by Ingrid Landmark-Tandrevold and a handful of others behind. But this is the battle at the top.
And we can see just how fast Hanna Öberg is going. She's matching the ski speed of Tandrevold, but Vitozzi is absolutely excelling, having closed that significant gap, making it out as though Hanna Öberg is struggling. Well, now as they come down towards the final right-hand bend, a big swooping right-hand before the big incline where Hanna Öberg bridged her attack yesterday, but it was not a success on that occasion. Julia Simon clung on.
Well, opting for different sides of the course, of the track here in Holmenkollen. And it is the lead that is just being edged by Hanna Öberg, but there's less than a second in it, around half a second. Lisa Vitozzi fighting up this climb, and she has the better of the body language and may pull around this corner in the lead. Side by side, Boborníková is holding on in third. And Lisa Vitozzi pushes ahead for the first time in this race. It's the Italian who leads.
and looking so dynamic. Every one of those pole plants is fully utilizing the upper body weight, the core, the drive from the elbows. This is a formidable attack, but Hannah Öberg is clinging on, but there's a meter or two of gap now.
What a final race this is on the World Cup this season. Lisa Vitozzi has never won a mass start on the World Cup. Here's the battle for the bronze. The Italian coach sprinting alongside Lisa Vitozzi. They've navigated that tricky third from last corner, and it will go down to a sprint finish once again. Hannah Öberg pulling onto the shoulder of Lisa Vitozzi. The two side by side. There has been nothing to separate them around this final lap. And once again, a surge up the incline from Lisa Vitozzi. The Italian grits her teeth and she's pulling away once again.
What an attack, skipping from Lisa Vitozzi, dancing up around that final corner, and look at the gap that's opened up now as Hannah Öberg cannot respond.
It's valuable meters gained by Lisa Vitozzi, and it's the comfort blanket that she needed as she pulls around and into the stadium over the mound for the final time. And what a way to conclude her comeback season on the World Cup. Heartbreak after heartbreak through 2024-25. She ends 25-26 victorious in the mass start for the very first time in her World Cup career. One miss on the day, a sublime final lap, a brilliant battle, and this time round she had Hannah Öberg. And talk about this for a storyline. Väborníková, exceptional. The pressure was on her from behind from Elvira Öberg, and she takes the bronze. The Czech woman drops to her knees. A second career podium after the mass start bronze in Antholz. A huge smile on the face of Bartowska Fialkova, who concludes her World Cup career here in Oslo. And the globe will go the way of Julia Simon in the mass start. She made it difficult for herself at times, but she had such an advantage in this competition. Disappointment for Hettich Volz, who was in there through so much of the battle up to the final shooting stage. But Scott, Oslo delivering once again on the final day.
What an unbelievable race, and Hannah Öberg once again involved in the final lap for the win, and it was amazing to see that dynamic energy produced from Vitozzi over the top of the hill. So much spark and acceleration, having caught up with the Swede.
Setback after setback before this season, and she has come back in sublime form. Well, it's been a long season for Suvi Minkkinen, who pushes herself over the line, but nonetheless an exceptional season for the Finn. But look at that, what a podium. And you have to doff your cap, Scott, to Teresa Väborníková, the 25-year-old who is emerging as, well, such a spectacular competitor in these mass start races.
Yeah, if there's 4 shoots in it, then Väborníková is absolutely in contention for a top spot. That's now her 4th result inside the top 5, or 5th, I should say. And all of those top results have been from the 4 shoot sequences, as Hauser now comes through across the line. Look at those glasses.
And she is a queen. She's embraced by Lena Haki-Gross. Well, those two have had some battles over the years, haven't they? And that is a final finish line for Lisa Hauser. An exceptional career. 387 starts, and she will embrace every single one of the athletes who's come across the line alongside her. Sidolovic and Margie Fried across the line, a fist bump from the American going the way of Lena Haki-Gross. Margie Fried, you have to give her her flowers for this season as well. A huge personal best in the sprint, finishing 13th after setting her previous best at the Olympic Games in the individual. She's really stepped up her game this year, particularly in terms of her shooting. Across the line comes Regina It's a big season for her next year, with the World Championships landing in Estonia. And Shvatova and Heidenberg across the line, side by side. Well, a well-earned magnum of champagne for Lisa Hauser. Well, there will be some special celebrations over the course of the next 24 hours, Scott. These final races of the season, they bring so much joy, so much celebration, and there's always that hint of sadness when it comes to the end of careers, but well, isn't that special? Simon Eder going up to embrace his single mixed relay partner, and the two of them together have been formidable over the years, and well, this is a final day battle that will go down in history, Scott.
Absolutely, and you can see the difference there and the spark in the legs between Vitozzi and Hannah Öberg. Vitozzi was skipping off her right leg and really making a lot of forward inertia, whereas Hannah Öberg, you could see her fatigue in the way that her upper body was crouched over and she was losing so much energy through her core on the final pole plants up the final incline, and that really was the difference between the Italian and the Swede at the very end. And perhaps Hannah Öberg was all done with sprint finishes after yesterday's excitement in the pursuit.
Well, one arm raised, acknowledging the fans. She has been a fan favourite for so long, Justine Bressard-Boucher. Not her day once again today, but she'll look to one side and see that stand packed out here in Norway with French fans and the French flags. Last across the line today with 10 misses. Sometimes, Scott, these days just happen, and you can see just how disappointed she is. As we see then the reverse for Lisa Vitozzi, a first mass start win of her career.
Well, missing 10 is certainly no fun at all. 1.5 kilometers added on to what is already a tough distance, 12.5k, becoming 14 kilometers. That's uncomfortable.
Well, it was the missing piece for Lisa Vitozzi. How often have we said that word this weekend? As she completes her set of wins with a first ever mass start. A real inspirational comeback story, a back injury that repeatedly kept her out last season. She was hoping to be able to finish the season, unable to do so. She put all her eggs in the basket of the Olympic Games and made history by becoming the first Italian to win gold in a biathlon race, and what manner she did it in during those games. Confirmation, full confirmation of the results, and of course the range scorecards there for the 30 taking part in this final mass start on the women's side of things. One more race to go, and that is the men's mass start, which is coming up in, well, just a few moments' time. Confirmation, well, we knew it already, of the Women's World Cup total score. Lou Jean-Monod tied it up at the start of this week, and no need for a sprint finish this time round. Milan Tjirkaida, the Norwegian, unmatched in the battle for the under-23 bib. And, well, Scott, with the talent that she's shown this year, Milan Tjirkaida, you wouldn't be surprised if in a few years' time we see her lifting the big trophy herself.
Well, she has the ski speed, she has the dynamic edge on the sprint finishes, and that takes a little bit. There's athletes who never have a sprint finish but become exceptional. But there's athletes that have sprint finish and that dynamic twist. They are often more tactical and able to use that ability, that superiority over the final 200 meters or so to their advantage. And Tjirkaida is absolutely displaying that talent, and therefore we can expect a lot of fun from her in the years to come. They didn't check the wind flags before popping that off.
Well, celebrations wherever you look. So much hard work going into that victory for Lisa Vitozzi.
You change, but then
Lisa, congratulations. What a battle it was on the final lap. Tell us a little bit about this and where did you manage to find these powers?
I don't know. Today I wasn't sure to start because I was pain in my stomach. So I'm glad that I start today, and I feel good on the last lap, and I try to give everything, and I'm happy that I win.
And actually it is your first mass start win, and now it is the end of the season, so a very good way to finish it, huh?
Yeah, it's really nice to finish like this, and yeah, I'm really happy.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wait.
From Lisa Vitozzi, English, for the first interview.
Well, the celebrations continuing. Petrovska Fialkova retiring. Well, the time it starts now for her. It's the final race of her career as confirmation of where the mass starts Crystal Globe is heading, and it's the way of Julia Simon. She had the big advantage going into today, didn't need the win, just had to stay ahead of her French compatriots, and she did, adding a second mass start Crystal Globe to her collection. And of course, today, Lou Jean-Monod being the first French woman since Julia Simon in 22-23 to take the total score.
On the biggest screen,
Well, a familiar face tucked in there. Franziska Preuss in deep discussion. Scott, how good is it to see her back here? There's going to be a moment at the end of proceedings today for all the retiring athletes to ski past or walk past if they prefer. The crowd who will still at that point be packed into the grandstand, and it's great to see her returning to a place where she won her first total score and of course her only total score before retiring at the end of the Olympic Games this season.
Well, she'll certainly be glad to be back here in what will be one of the most nostalgic places, as it so often is, because of the great atmosphere, great vibe, and it always produces absolutely wonderful races. If only a little bit dirty in the snow. You can see around the penalty loop where they have managed to cling on to the little that is left at this time of year, something that's becoming ever more common in a warming world. This is what I love about biathlon, is that everybody is so supportive, no matter who the winner is. It's just, people love the sport, the dynamic, and the different variables that the shooting range and the skiing both combined make. And you see smiling faces for the success of Sturla Holmenkollen yesterday, despite the fact that Perrault was beaten just by a fraction of a second, and the French fans still smiling, still like, oh, gutted of course, but there is just a continuous joy that the lovers of this sport always experience.
And Felisa Vitozzi, she's an athlete who is loved beyond, of course, just the Italian team, and I think just being hurried along there so she can make her way out to the flower ceremony. Of course, the prize giving as well for the Crystal Globes. I think I heard the PA announcer in the stadium say that the fans had to keep dancing until the flower ceremony started. So we may be subjected to a little bit more of the Macarena while everyone prepares
on
to
repeat.
Back out.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Just that spinning before the flower ceremony. But you can start to see people gathering, all the athletes gathering, the technical teams gathering as well before they make their way out and over onto the snow for the prize-giving ceremonies. And, well, you'd struggle to find a more popular winner than Lisa Vitozzi. She's had to overcome so many challenges over the course of the last year, and this season she's really emerged, and Scott delivering for many. And I think, you know, it would be one of the moments that would probably be quite high up if at the end of the season there is voting on it. Her win in Antholz on home snow, breaking records and making history for Italy.
Yeah, you asked me for a couple examples of my favourite moments, and I produced like 20. But one of them was that Lisa Vitozzi's pursuit gold medal in front of her home crowd, dancing over the line. It was such a fantastic moment. It really was. And I have to say that this race now, quite likely, as well as the two pursuits yesterday, are up there with my favourite moments of the entire season. But Vitozzi is a special athlete that has given us the sense that she was going to produce results like this all the way back at the Loop 1 festival before the season in Munich, and everyone thought, well, she's back with a vengeance, and they were right. Perhaps not throughout the entirety of the season, but with the odd extraordinary result.
Well, just how good was that Loop 1 festival to watch as well, and I remember seeing her come out and immediately having that spark on the skis. It was so good to watch, and excited to head back to Munich for the next edition of the Loop 1 Festival as well. So keep your eyes across the Biathlon World social media pages and of course the IBU website for more information on what will be, once again, the season opener for biathlon. Well, we saw, and you can see there, Ingrid Tandevold, who I'm sure there's been plenty of family members after she walked out with her nieces the other day, trying to make sure that their children were next in line to go and have their moment on the podium with Tandevold. This is the first season, Scott, since 21-22 that she's failed to finish on the podium but just how encouraging after the last 18 months that she's had will 2 5th places and, of course, a 7th place yesterday be for her going forward?
It's so hard to say, because I remember after she came back with that victory in Novo Mesto last year and stunned everyone with her brilliance, it was hard for her to maintain that level. What I certainly hope for is that this trajectory shows consistency and that she can be up at the top again. And I would love nothing more than to see Tangevall come away next year with many more victories than she already has.
Julia!
Well, the flower ceremony now complete with Julia Simon just taking her time, but another crystal globe secured for Julia Simon, so I can understand why she has been having to do extra media duties today. What a moment that is for the young child that Ingrid Landmark-Tangevall has in her arms. Brought her nieces out for the flower ceremony at the start of the week, and another lovely moment as she continues to inspire the next generation of Norwegian biathletes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the prize-giving ceremony for the BMW IBU World Cup Mass Start Women. Mine damer og herrer, velkommen til premieseremoni for BMW IBU Verdenscup, ja, fellesstart for kvinner. The medals are handed out by Executive Board Member in IBU, Tore Bøygard. The globes will be handed out by the President of the IBU, Mr. Ole Dahlin. And the presents will be handed out by Claudia Thiele-Seldenrich, Director Marketing, Branding and Events in Nammo. In third place, from Czechia, på tredjeplass fra Czechia, Teresa Vabornikova!
Teresa Vabornikova, bronze medalist once again. Oh, what a season she has had. Just excelling in these 4 shooting stage races, and after claiming the bronze in her first ever podium in the mass start at the Olympic Games, she backs it up with her first podium on the World Cup circuits. She come ever so close a couple of weeks ago in Kontiolahti in the individual when she finished 4th. 5th in the mass start, and just when you look at the rate in which she's improved over the course of the last 12 months, Scott, this has been an exceptional last 2 months for Vabornikova.
So brilliant, and how could anyone have predicted that bronze at the Games, but she got it.
Anna Røberg with a big smile on her face, couldn't push it all the way for a sprint finish across the line today, but an excellent battle with Lisa Vitozzi, and a superb week of racing for Anna Røberg, who took gold in both the sprint and the pursuit.
Number 1 and the winner from Italy.
And taking second in the total score, Anna Røberg for the first time in her career. Lisa Vitozzi stands atop the podium for the very first time in a mass start race, completing her collection of wins. Now she has won in every single discipline, and a real race of determination today. She had to fight after an early miss, came back strong, and that final lap was really something to behold, Scott.
It was amazing. The way that she accelerated after having caught up with Hannah Røberg was something truly special. She had a lot of energy in the legs, perhaps due to the fact she paced herself so well. on laps 1, 2, and 3.
Let's hear it for the podium. Lisa Vitozzi, Hanna Öberg, Teresa Vapornikova.
Your final women's podium
In fourth place,
in the 25-26 IBU World Cup season. Not to be for Elvira Öberg.
In the fifth place, from Norway,
in the range. Final visit twice around the penalty loop she went, and what a roar that is for Ingrid Sandervold. Making those small strides back to where she wants to be. And she's probably thinking the end of the season is coming a little bit too soon for her with the trajectory that she's on. 6 enough today for Julia Simon to secure the Mass Start Globe for a second time in her career.
Very well to fend off Lou Jean Monod, but Jean Monod struggling today. Perhaps the season end all too welcome now for the French women, who's done so good to achieve all those crystal globes, but it wouldn't be for today for the crystal globe and the mass start.
Let's hear it for the winners. Lisa Vitozzi, Hanna Öberg, Teresa Vapornikova, Elvira Öberg, Ingrid Sandervold, Julia Simon.
Exceptional from Lisa Vitozzi, ending her season on a high. And the celebrations will continue here, as you can see the globes positioned, ready to be handed out, with the various recipients and their teams waiting on. Of course, it's all coming ahead of the men's mass start, which takes place at 3:45 Central European time. Me, Alan Chikiada asks.
Okay, but what am I supposed to do?
Nothing, just go from here there. When you are cool. When you are cool.
Yes, but on the podium?
Yes, please.
Well, great
Where do I
insights
go?
into what it must be like to be a first-time Crystal Globe winner, the 23-year-old, wanting to make sure that she's going in the right direction. In terms of her career, she is certainly going the right direction. Malin Chirkaida taking the under-23 Globe.
23 award 2026 from Norway. Nummer 1 og vinner av premien som beste utøver under 23 år fra Norge, Maren Hjelmeset Kirkeide.
Well, she's a young woman on an upward trajectory, Scott, and a first Crystal Globe. She will be handed the globe for the blue bib, the under-23 competition, but you feel certainly won't be the last time she's shaking the hand of the IBU president.
Well, my favourite moment of the season was Maren Chirkaida's mass start win in Nancy de Grand Bernard, showing that really aggressive attack on the final lap, and I can't wait to see what she can do in the future.
She has that exceptional sprint speed and just makes such an exciting watch whenever she takes to the skis and to the snow. Olympic champion in the sprint. A huge season for the Norwegian, who has smashed all her previous records, hadn't stood on the podium before this season. And her first podium coming in Le Grand Bonnard with that mass start victory, which was such a thrilling watch. What an incredible end to the race. And then replicated that a couple of weeks later in Ruhpolding. I think it was the relay there, her and Lisa Vitozzi all the way to the finish line. such a good anchor leg.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have the ceremony for the World Cup mass start score women. Mine damer og herrer, vi skal nå ha premieseremoni for
Well, just one globe remained up for grabs today, and it was the mass start crystal globe decided today, going the way of Julia Simon.
From France. Nummer 1 og vinner av fellesstartscupen 2026 fra Frankrike, Julia Simon!
Well, she's admitted a season that's brought plenty of introspection. She comes away with the small crystal globe, the second time she's claimed the mass start globe. Holding off Lou Jean-Minot, Lou Benet and Oceane Michelon to take the title today. For the fourth time in 5 years. Start crystal globe going back to France. And a second time in that period it will be with Julia Simon. So just one left to go. And of course, it's the biggest of them all.
Prize-giving ceremony for the World Cup total score women.
It was heartbreak here, this time last year for Lou Jean-Minot. The battle raged down to the final day with Franziska Preuss. As she wipes away the tears, Lou Jean-Minot, she did it her way this year. And what a season it's been for the 27-year-old, total score winner, individual winner, sprint and pursuit winner. And coming away from Antolz with 4 Olympic medals. That is the relief that has been pent up for the last 12 months. Determined not to experience the heartbreak of last season, where it was Franziska Preuss who embraces her close friend Lou Jean-Minot, and this time hands over the globe that was last in her name over to the Frenchwoman. Jean-Minot, the 5th Frenchwoman to win the total score, is tears. Well, they continue to fall, but they are happy tears. They are tears of relief and a reflection of all the hard work and determination that she has put in this season. This is her moment. This has been her season. And that is the biggest reward of them all. You can look, Scott, of course, at individual performances, world championships, Olympic medals, but that, the total score crystal globe, the greatest sign of consistency in this sport.
That's absolutely right, and of course she has had many wonderful results this year, but surprisingly few victories, all things considered, having been so dominant across the board, and that really is due to the fact that she is consistent. There may have been somebody else on the day to have just bettered her on one occasion, but across all of the races, she has been triumphant in all categories except, of course, the mass start.
Well, I'm sure if at this point, this time last year, you could flash forward and show her that as a glimmer of hope, it would have just eased the pain slightly. She's done all the hard work, and Lou Jean-Minot, champion, in this year's total score on the IBU World Cup.